All right. We are working on setting up other trainings on these Mondays, so you'll see more topic trainings coming out as well as app updates and things like that. But we will be doing this transition where we are doing more training for you guys, whether that is business, mindset, or technical training as well. So be on the lookout for that and make sure you have these on your calendars. I believe you guys all have invites there. But I wanted to do this one today. Let me make sure I'm recording here before yep, we're good. Okay. I wanted to do this one today, share a little bit about my journey as a business owner that hopefully will help you on your journey as a business owner, because all of you on here are business owners, correct? You're a small business owner. You most likely have your own suite or any other type of thing going on. And some of you have multiple businesses. And I think when I was starting my journey as a small business owner, there was a lot of imposter syndrome. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of, how do I do this? Or I'm not good enough to, let's take Christy Guy as an example, like I couldn't work on celebrity clients. How could I do that? I'm not good enough for that. And those types of thoughts. And typically our thoughts are the foundation of our potential in life. And if we don't change our thoughts and our beliefs and what we believe we are capable of as human beings, then it's really hard to then change our behaviors and then change our business. So one of the first things I learned as a small business owner years ago was to start by developing my mindset to help then develop my business. And a piece of that was money mindset. And I'm going to share kind of a lot of my personal story with you today as we go over these different topics. And so I will be sharing a few tips, and I'm going to keep it very base level tips today, but that is because it could get very overwhelming if I try and do all this in like one setting. So we're going to do kind of just scratch the surface. And then I would love your feedback if you want to do more of it. And I am so happy to dive in deeper because this is probably one of my favorite topics of all time. And I'll talk about why in just a minute. But how to start developing a money mindset. And just like the text said today, how to earn more income, right? A lot of the times we can kind of be a roadblock to that and we don't even know that. And I'll talk about how that surfaced in my life. So I'm going to push play on this. So I hope this helps you today. I would love your feedback if you want to continue different mindset trainings like this. I also have a few friends who are actually money mindset specialists. I'm sure that they'd be happy to come in as well and add on top of this. But today what we're going to look at is assessing your current money mindset. What do you believe about money? And then challenging or rewriting limiting beliefs by a show of hands. And you can either use the little hand thing in your chat, or you can raise your hand on the video. How many of you have dove into personal development or self-help books, anything like that to help you become a better person? Is that new to you? Or raise your hand if you have done something like this before in regards to personal development. Awesome. I see a few. Love that. All right, cool. So for some of you, there's a few on here who have. If you have not, here's what I'm going to say about this. I know when I first entered into this world of being a business owner and my business mentor started mentoring me through things like this, I was like, whoa, this seems a little wooey. This seems a little bit wooey to me. I don't know if does this actually work? But at that time, it was a decade ago, and I was $250,000 in debt, buried in student loan debt. And I was freaking out about the future and how I was ever going to afford to have kids, because every single week we'd have spending freezes because we didn't have enough money in the bank to pay our bills. We drove from North Carolina to Kansas City to see our family at the holidays because we couldn't afford 2 plane tickets. We were robbing Peter to pay Paul, and it was stressing me out. And so a decade ago, that's where I was at financially. And it was very scary. I had no idea how I was going to get out of debt on my husband and I's salary. So I decided to start looking for part-time jobs and things like that. And that's how I stumbled into being a small business owner, because I saw that I could build my own online business. And in that, it challenged some of my money mindset beliefs. And so there was a point in my business when my business started to do well. And I remember starting to shrink back because of exactly what we're going to talk about today. And I do truly believe that I would have sabotaged my business because of my money mindset had I not done some of these practices that we're going to be speaking about today. So, although this might sound wooey, I am going to ask you to go with me there and ask yourself, what do you have to lose? This doesn't cost any money. I'm not asking you to spend anything. I'm not asking you to put hours of your time into this. I'm just asking you to maybe challenge your brain a little bit today and see what happens over the next week. Okay. And I'll have more resources for you as well if this is something that you're really interested in and you want to dive deeper into. I did not make any of this stuff up. It's all from the experts that I've learned over the years. So, okay. All right. So first, let's just talk about it. What is money, right? Money is simply an exchange that facilitates trade. That is it, right? Is we trade one thing. Oops. Hold on. Sorry, I was trying to move my screen so I could look over here. We trade one thing that people have assigned value to for something else that people have assigned value to. However, what typically happens in that, hold on just a second. Let me get back here. Although money is just facilitating trade, there's typically an emotional or sometimes even a physical response when people speak about money. Okay. I'm going to ask you guys lots of questions today. I love it when y'all chat in, share your feelings, share your ideas. I think it helps solidify that we kind of all have these things that we carry with us. So if I were to say to you, hey, I'm going to go to the mall and I'm going to go drop $25,000 shopping today, what emotion does that respond for you? Does that, maybe it doesn't for some of you, but does that create a physical or emotional response from you internally? You don't have to share it. You can if you want. If it does, you can raise your hand. You don't have to share what the emotion is. But typically people have an emotional response when we start talking about money. I know one of my friends, whenever I say something to the effect of like, I like your shoes, she always has to say, oh, I got them on sale at X, Y, and Z. Oh, I got a really good deal for them on X, Y, and Z. And we'll kind of talk about why that surfaces and why we defend our purchases sometimes. And it usually has to do with how we are brought up. So if I were to say, I'm going to go spend $25,000 today at the mall, and you have an emotional response, I'm going to challenge you in that. That emotional response might be like, cool, that's awesome. Or that emotional response might be like, ooh, you could do so much more with $25,000 and just go shopping at the mall. You could help people, or you can go, pay that forward. But here's what I challenge you. If money is simply an exchange that facilitates trade, right? Why do we have an emotional response when I mention that? Versus if I were to say, I'm going to go drive 25,000 miles today. Your emotional response might be a little bit different, right? There's probably not excitement. There's probably not jealousy or envy. It's just like, oh, you're going to go drive. Man, that's a long trip. Okay, have fun, right? But it might not have such a triggering emotion, even though if we just think about the very basis, both are just an exchange. One is exchanging goods. The other is exchanging miles. But how we view money is so much more complicated because we typically have a relationship that we've built with money within the past. So that's where we're going to start today. I will make this bigger. Give me 1 second. Is assessing your current money and your current thoughts and feelings around money. So I'm going to ask you to do this. I'm going to give you some time. Let me make this bigger. And on your piece of paper, something in front of you, what you're going to do is just read each statement. And if you are a sales or business owner, the blue are for you as well. So I think that's everyone on this call. And what you're going to do is put 0 for never, 1 for sometimes, 2 for frequently, and 3 most always in regards to this money relationship assessment. All right, I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that and go. All right, take one more minute. I know some of you might be multitasking right now, so I can send this out. We can send it out in the email as well. It looks like. I love seeing Patricia and Ebony's response to my mall shopping comment. Oh, okay. Now I'm seeing even more. I didn't even see those. Kathleen, anxious. Natalie, big eyes. Ashley, definitely love it. OMG, save that money. Oh no, I wish it could. These are great. All right. Thank you guys so much. All right. We are going to move on. Before we move on to the next slide, I see a few more people still jotting things down. Here's what I'll say. I just took this with you guys, and I want you to know that like a decade ago, I was like basically in the 3 column. Like 3 was everything, like literally every single one, especially the last one, hoping I could win the lottery, get an inheritance, or find a man to take care of me. Like I was like banking on that happening. Even though I was already married, so I don't know how that was going to work out. But like that was like that's how much control over my life I thought I had. I basically thought I was powerless. And if you walk away with anything from today's call, I hope you understand that you have the power to change your life. There are ways for you to do this, and hopefully either whether that's through being a Posh Pro and being able to earn money there, or being a body partner. Some of you are on that side of things as well. I hope you understand that you do not have to have a bad relationship with the money the rest of your life. And that we can change these thoughts. Okay, here we go. Let me figure out how to get out of here. We'll go to the score, maybe. Sorry, my computer is just being a little bit slow. Come on. All right. Here's the assessment score. So you can see 0 to 10, you have a very healthy relationship. 11 to 20, you're not doing too bad with your money relationship. There are occasional spats, but they usually don't last long, and you're adept to working them out. Or 21 to 30, your money is not your honey. Your relationship with money is in the dumps, or it's like a roller coaster with highs and lows, feels unpredictable to you, or your constant focus or sense of worry and fear around money has likely been a pattern for you for some time. And it's time to establish a new healthy relationship. So if you want to share what category you fall into, you can. You do not have to. But I will tell you, a decade ago, I was probably like a 30 out of 30, like literally. And to this day, so like my score today was 7. However, I still have to really work on my relationship with money, because what we're about to talk about, you'll see how we learn this relationship with money is so deep rooted in our subconscious. We sometimes don't even know it exists. We don't understand how we think or feel about money, and then how it's impacting every other area of our life. So, 1 second. Okay. So with that, you can share them if you want to, you don't have to. We're going to talk about how did we get here? How do we get to this place with money, and how do we change it? Because so there's a book, it's called Get Rich Lucky Bitch. This is based kind of on her concepts. I recommend everyone to read it. But when we think about our relationship with money and how we get here, it's a culmination of a lot of things. It can be your upbringing, right? How did your parents speak about money? How did they talk about money? It could be what we see in our society, in our culture. For example, if we think about the movies that we expose ourselves to, and let's take, for example, The Devil Wears Prada. Devil Wears Prada has everyone on here seen Devil Wears Prada? Has anyone not seen it? Well, Devil Wears Prada focuses on this, you know, meek, shy, kind of like homely girl who goes and works for Prada, or this magazine, this big Vogue magazine, I believe. And there is a woman that's at the head of, I'm going to say Vogue, but she's the head of Vogue. And this woman has it all. She is rich, but she is also a bitch. She is not a nice human being. She's mean. She is bossy. This young girl comes in and works for her, the meek one, and she doesn't have a lot of money. She doesn't have a lot of things, but she's so sweet and she's so kind and she's so nice. As we go through the movie, we see the girl who comes in as that assistant. She becomes more established, earns more money. And we see her personality shift, where now that she has more money, she has like nice things now because she's given those things, she's now also mean. And I bring that up because in a lot of movies, it's depicted that women, when they have money, they're depicted as mean. They're depicted as pushy. They're depicted as evil. Cruella de Vil, if you think about Cruella de Vil and who she is in that movie, Bridesmaids, that funny, humorous movie, it's the one that's wealthy. She's like the mean one, right? Mean Girls. That whole movie is exactly just that. Parent Trap. The list goes on and on. I remember when I heard this for the first time and I was reading this book and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's so true. And I just never realized it before. And as a female, although we don't realize we're consuming this idea, we're consuming this, this message that females with money are bad, females with money are mean, females with money are X, Y, and Z. It kind of sinks into us and we don't even realize it. And we begin to maybe have thoughts like that because we've seen so many maybe movies or shows where this idea is forced down our throat. And after I heard this for the first time, I was like so fired up and mad about it. And it was Christmas time and I turned on Hallmark, and I cannot remember the name of the movie, but it was like a new Christmas Hallmark movie. And lo and behold, it was about this attorney. She was a female attorney and she was a do-gooder and she just wanted to save the world, but her business was failing. And then it was versus another female attorney who was well off and wealthy and she was running the world, but she was also just an a-hole. And I was like, there it is again. Like, why can't it be flipped? And I will tell you that growing up, I grew up in a home of, I have 5 brothers and sisters. There's 6 of us, my parents, neither of my parents went to college. And we grew up in a 900 square foot home with 8 people living in it, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, very tiny. And we didn't have a lot growing up. My parents are like the most amazing people. We didn't have a lot growing up. And so a lot of the times I heard from my parents, I saw 2 different things. One, it was like, if my parents maybe felt less than because someone had more than them and they felt guilty that they couldn't give it to us kids, it was an easy way for them to be like, oh, well, that's like greedy. They don't need that nice of a car. Let's like, our neighbors had like a Mercedes and they're like, that's so greedy. They don't need that car. They could be helping so many other people, but they have a nice car. And I think it was just my parents' way of like protecting themselves because maybe they didn't feel, they felt like they were maybe lacking in that area. But as a young child, I took that in, like, people who drive nice cars are greedy. I literally had to ask my dad for permission to get a nice car when I had money to. Like that, I was 35 years old and I had to have a come to Jesus meeting with him because I felt guilty about making money. These things stick in us. Something else, my mom, bless her heart, my mom would always take us shopping and write hot checks, always. And so she was always like, well, you know, or if she got like a bonus at work or something, she would just spend it right away. So from a very young age, I just learned, oh, you just spend all your money as soon as you get it, because like you're never going to have it again. Like all your money is gone. So just spend it all that way because you're never going to have it. And like you can never get caught up on your bills anyways. Like I remember always hearing like, we can't get unburied anyways. Like the money is, we're always going to be in debt. Like we're never going to get out of debt. And so like that was like my thought process is once you get in debt, you can't ever get out of debt. And so 10 years ago, when I was $250,000 in debt, I felt very, very powerless. Hence why I wanted to win the lottery because I thought it was my only way. But the cool thing is we're living in 2023 and there are so many ways to make money, including where you are at right now. So next piece of this, Come on. Nope. So I just kind of talked about this, some of our limiting beliefs that we learn when we're little. We're going to identify those. Where did it go? All right, we're going to identify those. So here are the prompts for you. I want you to write down. Money is, you fill in the blank. Money is what? It can be anything. There's no right or wrong. It's literally what's first thing that pops in your head. Money does. People with money are. And then you can write down any experiences that you've had with money that you're holding on to or that impact your life today. It can be good or bad. All right, take one more minute. You can come back to this later if you want to continue working through it. You can absolutely share them if you want to chat them in. We'll have some open discussion at the end. We're like wrapping this up in like 6 minutes. And then we'll have a little bit more discussion as well. All right. So you might be asking, like, why are we doing this? Like, what does this matter? If I had all the money in the world, I wouldn't have any issues anyway. Has anyone ever thought that before? Because I always thought that, like, oh, if I had more money, I wouldn't have any issues. How many of you have ever received a chunk of money and then maybe you didn't make the wisest decision with it? You went and bought a TV at Walmart. When we had the 2020, they gave the tax, or they gave people money, the rebates with COVID, and you saw lines of people at Walmart getting new TVs, things like that. Until we really address our limiting beliefs with money, we will cap out that glass ceiling. We're going to cap out somewhere, and you have to continue to grow and learn and push past these limiting beliefs, or you're going to end up right back where you started. We also think, like if I had all the money, I wouldn't have any problems, but that's not true. How many celebrities have you heard of who were rich, famous, had millions and millions of dollars, you guys, and they lost it all? It is literally just more money, more problems. Big money, bigger problems. You're just spending more, right? Burt Reynolds, he filed bankruptcy in 1996. Burt Reynolds, right? Michael Jackson, he was another one that you heard of, lost all of his fortune. Kevin Bacon, Nicolas Cage, MC Hammer, the list goes on and on. We hear about new people every day. Kim Zolciak from the Bravos franchise. It's another one we just heard about who lost all their money. They're like filing bankruptcy, all of the things. If we don't change these limiting beliefs, our money issues, even if you did win the lottery, it would just be gone. The lottery is another one, that crazy statistic, like is it 80% of people who win the lottery, like spend it all within like a very short period of time, just bananas. And so identifying these, number one, helps you know how to use money when you begin to earn more of it, hopefully through Poshed, or through your body partnership. But it also helps you begin to value yourself more. And as a small business owner, be able to charge what you desire and feel okay asking about that without projecting your own fear of money on other people. If you've ever thought like, oh, I don't want to sell something because I'm being pushy, that's a very, very common thing, right? You're thinking from your own pocketbook. So we have to realign that before we move on. So here's where we're going to end today. You just wrote down your prompts about money. And over the past decade, the one area I always have to work on with a therapist or life coach are my money beliefs, always, because they like to just come back. And I was doing this in 2020, and my coach said to me then, he's like, Ruth, think of money like your husband. Think of it like however you speak about money, that is how money is going to act back to you. It's an energy source. This is where it gets a little bit wooey. But he's like, you're telling me you want more money, but how do you feel about money? And I'm like, well, I'm scared of it. And he's like, okay, well, then why would money want to come around you if you are scared of money? I was like, well, I don't know. Like, it's like, if you acted scared of your husband, would your husband want to be around you? Or would he feel like really awkward and kind of like leave? Like he'd feel awkward and leave because I was like tippy-toeing around him. And he's like, are you grateful for your money? And I was like, well, I think I am, but I kind of like ignore it sometimes. I just like act like it's not there. I'll just ignore it because it makes me uncomfortable earning money. I still have to like fight through that. And he's like, okay, if you were in a relationship with money, and it's like with your husband, if you ignored your husband, what would happen? He wouldn't come around anymore. He would leave. Whatever energetic force you're putting out there, you're going to start to see money give you that same energy back or react to your feelings of it. So changing these beliefs is key to starting to rewire our brains. Some of you guys might have past experiences that you wrote down, kind of like I talked about earlier with things that my parents told me. The car one literally sticks out to this day. I'll never forget it. And we're adults now, and we have to ask ourselves, is that true? Or was that something that I accidentally picked up as a kid and I can leave that belief behind? Is it true that people who drive nice cars are greedy? No. People who have more typically give more because they can, right? When I was broke as a joke, I wouldn't even give Christmas presents because I didn't have any money. Now that's not the case. I can help so many more people. So we have to begin changing those thoughts and saying like, just because this was told to me when I was 7 years old doesn't make it true. Why am I still living by a belief that maybe just made someone else feel better in that moment, right? They didn't mean to give me that belief. It was purely by accident. Hold on. So what we're going to do is I want you to think about the relationship you want to have with money. And this is our last thing we're going to end with here. And we're going to rewrite these in positive statements. So think about the relationship that you do want to have with money, and how you want to feel about it. So just some examples you can see on the screen. I am worthy of financial abundance. Some of you might have very deep-rooted fears that you don't deserve money for some reason. Maybe something was told to you as a child about your worthiness or something like that. It's tied to money, and that's like your belief now. Some of you, money flows easily and abundantly into my life. One of my girlfriends, she came from a very successful family, and she herself grew into a successful human being as an adult. However, as she grew up, she was terrified to earn money because she felt neglected by her parents, because her mom was always saying, I have to go work if you want to have food on the table. I have to go work to be able to pay for all your things. So she felt like, oh, if you want money, it comes at the sacrifice of having a family. So it can work in the opposite direction as well. And so she had to work through her money issues in a different way, because she thought money equals ignoring your family. Money equals sacrificing time with your loved ones. Money equals your daughter resenting you into their 30s, right? So hers was flipped. So look at your statements you have, and I want you to flip them. So for example, one of my statements was like, if I earn money, I'll be a greedy and bad person. In my heart and soul, I know that's not the truth, period, ever. Like, that's not who I am. However, this was something that was like so ingrained in me. And so I still have it to this day. You can see, I can't see myself on the screen right now. But I have these little note cards, and they're all over my mirror, my limiting beliefs. It's not just about money, but this one says, I'm a generous and giving person who serves others through my success and abundance. And this is something I've told myself since 2015. And I would have ran my first business into the ground if I didn't adopt this. So I want you to look at your statements and think about how you could reword them. This might take some time. Another one I have here is, my success and abundance shows other women what is possible for them in their life too. I think as women, sometimes it's really hard, even if it's not even about money, but just like, women don't brag on themselves. We don't say what we're good at, right? Men, are you kidding? They're going to like tell us how good they are at making lasagna that they've made one time in their life, but like now they're like Chef Gordon Ramsay. Women are not that way, right? We're going to apologize the entire time you're eating the lasagna and be like freaking out. We have this belief that if we are proud of ourselves or say that we're good at something, right, that we're arrogant or going to be viewed that way. That's not the case. Think of how many people inspire you because of something that they've done before you. So I'm gonna challenge you to look at your things, and this is your homework, to take those statements and rewrite them in a positive manner. And we'll open it up now for any questions, thoughts, feedback that you have about this. Oh, let me unmute, let you guys unmute yourselves. Sorry, I turned that off there for a second. So you can either chat in, you can unmute yourself if you have questions. So this is truly like step one of like many. If you can't wait for more, I highly recommend you reading, I'm going to put it in the chat thread, this book by Denise. I gotta find her last name. I'll put it in here. But as I'm doing this, feel free to unmute, ask questions, chat in questions, share any thoughts you have if you want to.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I don't know if everybody can hear me.
Hi, yes, Kathleen was telling me about you. So happy that you're here.
Yes, I'm happy to be here as well too. Definitely a confirmation for being here today, so I'm really excited about that. But I just wanted to touch up on just some of the things the prompts that we received. Um, as a business owner, sometimes I feel like I always put money or my focus into my business, and then I pay myself or save later. And I feel like that's been one of my biggest struggles, I would say, and I've had to I believe that, money is a tool and that people with money have resources, but it's like sometimes it's a really hard to get away of the mindset of like, okay, now just put everything into your business first and then, work on yourself later. But then, I'm kind of running myself to the ground and then I'm in a cycle of, okay, now I can pay myself or when I can do this or when I can do that type thing. And I've been trying the affirmations, but I think I might need to dig a little bit deeper. But I just want to say, like, you definitely hit on some really good points. Because I also said that money does control you if you let it, and that can be a positive way or a negative way as well too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Whereas if we were thinking about money, like in a relationship status, if I said my husband controls me if I let him, right? That wouldn't be like a good thing. The better thing might be like, I work with money to have the lifestyle I desire.
Okay.
That's like more, that gives you the power. It also doesn't give, you guys now are an equal playing field and you're there to benefit each other's lives.
Yeah, that's good. And it puts you at ease as well too. So that feeling that you have when you're like, oh, I feel like it's controlling me versus kind of like flipping it around, then you feel some sense of comfort. And now you're like, okay, it's not that big of a deal, even though it kind of feels like it sometimes.
Yes,
But
I relate to all of that so much. In regards to when you're saying like putting money back into your business before even paying yourself, meaning like you're investing in, maybe equipment or marketing, or like, tell me a little bit more about that.
yeah, so I felt like I didn't have like a formula of how much I wanted to save like each week. So now I've found something that has helped me like, no, on this day you're gonna save once a week, you're gonna save out of all your income for that week, you're gonna save 15%. And then it's that discipline part that I'm still working on of just like actually do it on this day. And then you'll start to see the numbers because I've tried like just little small experiments to kind of help me through it. I'm like, I see the numbers going up, but it's not as fast as I would like it to be. And I think it's the patient part as
Yeah.
well too. So it's like a little bit of both. It really does require discipline and it does require patience. And sometimes once I see the money up there, I'm like, okay, now I can spend it. But I don't I want to be able to see that number and be like, okay, I got it, but I want to go past that number and not like, go back to old habits.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But all of that is like the fact you even acknowledge and see that is so powerful. Like that's incredible. You've even like tapped into that. And the fact you're like playing with like little tests of like, how does this make me feel? And how does that make me feel? Super, super, super powerful. You should listen. I always listen to audiobooks, but so I listened to
Okay.
this book.
Okay.
But if you're a reader, read it. But it was game changing for me.
Okay.
So yeah, I definitely recommend it. I know she has like online courses too that dive deeper, but she in her book, and we'll talk more about them if you guys want to dive deeper into this, but there's next steps. So this is like just base level foundation. And the next step is tracking all of your spending, which I know that can be very scary. Like you're like, oh God, do I really want to know?
Exactly.
It's taking back that control, right?
Yeah.
Letting money control us and us feeling like we're just flying by the seat of our pants, being like, we're in this together. The better I treat money, the better it'll treat me.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely check that out.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, Kim. Did I see you unmute yourself?
No, I left and then, well, it logged me off and then I had to come back. So I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
And I'm sorry I'm late. I just
No,
got
you're
out of my
totally
physical
fine.
therapy. So sorry.
No worries. We recorded it, so you can hop in. Anyone else want to share or have questions? Yes, Natalie is on Audible. I just saw that. Yep. I only listen to my books. So Ebony, I believe you have it on Audible. There you go.
I love it. Since I'm like unmiked,
Yeah.
how do you go about finding a business mentor? Because
Mm.
I need one bad. I like this whole session, it's emotional and it's deep, and I
Mhm.
I don't want to keep being in the same situation. So I think
Yeah.
it's time for me to find someone to help me. So how do you go about doing it?
Yes. So I think we need to first clarify, when I speak, I say like a life coach is one thing, a business mentor is to me a different thing. So I think it maybe in your case, you might be talking about more of a life coach of really dealing with those limiting beliefs. Or are you thinking business mentor, like business strategy?
I think, well, since I've been away,
Mhm.
um, I have been focusing on like affirmations, and I do it every day. Um, and with doing affirmations, and I, like you said, like you tell yourself, like, okay, money is gonna flow to me in abundance, and so I've been doing that every day, and I've been trying to believe in that. But I just think my problem right now is I just need to find someone that will kind of guide me into really making the best of my business, and knowing like all the different things that I can do. Because I think I talked to you before when we had that nail party for the kids.
Mhm.
Your friend Kathleen was telling me about like all the things you can do with your business, and um, I just want to talk to someone that can really like help me figure it out.
Yeah,
I'm not a
let's,
good business person.
That's
oh, that's an interesting belief right there.
I'll jump in too. I personally just applied for a mentor as well. I joined a group called the Digital Women's Kansas City organization. So I'm putting it in the chat now, and they are still accepting applications where they have mentors as part of their group. So you can apply to be a mentor or a mentee and get partnered up. So I just applied for it, so I can't say for sure, how the experience will go. But I'm excited for it.
And I'm happy to see like all the new faces too.
I love it.
Hey y'all.
Um, I put scored, like score business mentors might be. I'm going to put another link. There is a Kansas City women's community. If you're Kansas City based, it's called Innovate Her. Are you guys on that Facebook group? But this might be a good place. I'm going to also, I'll just put some resources together in, since I know you're local. This would be a good place to kind of see there. I'm also going to look into like UMKC. They have some different offerings as well. There. But we can also chat Ebony as well, because I wanted to actually talk to you about some of the other partnerships that we're coming into. But Innovate Her is specifically for small business owners who are female in Kansas City. So that might be a good spot. They have like weekly meetups, things like that. They'll have different educational events that are free, all of those things. Another one would be like UMKC Innovation Center. But if you click that link, it'll take you there. Someone had, I'm going to say we have some anonymous questions. The first one was, how can you get this money thing under control when you don't know? So remember, this is step one of the book. So the book really goes way more into depth on the next pieces. Remember, this is just step one. This is a foundational piece. It's very important to work on. The next piece, it gets way more tangible in regards to like looking at spending, tracking spending, things like that. So that's what I'd say first is it's a little bit more layered, like it's not like today and then it's all done. The other question was, and if you're always helping others when you don't have the means to help your own self. So I think that I saw this from my parents as well, especially my mom. She's like the most giving human being ever. And However, when she was giving, it was typically like hand-me-downs, things like that. So even though we didn't have a lot of money, she was giving time, or maybe like cooking if that was an option, or giving hand-me-downs to other families, things like that. We can help people with our service and with our giving of things beyond just money, right? And so if it comes to your income and you don't have that to give, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Like, you deserve to have money to breathe and to have fun and to take your family on events. And so if you are overstretching in that area and giving money that you don't even have yet, that is probably a limiting belief that you're holding on to as to why you're doing that and why you think you need to do that to maybe feel okay. And so maybe that's something you learned along the way as well. But if you kind of stop, and especially if you have a family, and think like, is this impacting my family in a negative way? If I'm over giving in an area that I don't have, is my family seeing a negative side effect of that? Whether that's, fighting with a spouse about money, or then maybe they're not getting things that they need. So that's a tricky one, but I would kind of assess like why that is happening, what makes you feel like you need to do that, if there's an alternative route to that. But to me, it probably sounds like maybe something was taught to you that makes you feel like you need to do that and overextend a little bit. And yes, it is very emotional when we talk about money. I can't even tell you guys, like, I have spent hours working through my own issues. So I get it. And it's still something where those limiting beliefs, they're like ingrained so deep, and I have to like check myself. Okay. All right. That is all we have time for today, but we will make sure you get the link to the books. I will include, this PowerPoint is like super just basic, but we'll send it out anyways as well. And then if you're a Posh Pro, know that you'll be getting a video update with some of the new things that we have on our platform. If you're a body partner, then keep your eyes peeled for our meeting time this week, where we're going to dig in on that side of things. So, all right, all. I love seeing all of you guys. Thank you so much for sharing. Let me know your feedback if you enjoyed this. If you want to do something like this again, we could stay on this topic, where we can bring in somebody else as well. So, all right, guys, we will talk to you all later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.